We have a really interesting stack of documents today. It's got us jumping between two incredibly different viewpoints.
It really is.
On one hand, you have the specific molecular health of a single ancient tree, and on the other, the huge infrastructural needs of an entire capital city.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We're looking at some highly practical information on expert tree care services, specifically in Hartford, Connecticut.
Right.
And we're linking that essential work to the whole cultural and ecological profile of the city.
Which is so critical for anyone who owns property or even just cares about urban green space.
It is. Understanding this connection it's everything.
Absolutely. Because, on the surface, this is about tree management. Right. But if you look deeper, it's about preserving your assets and mitigating risk.
Exactly.
If you live somewhere like Hartford, a healthy old tree isn't just decoration. It's one of your most valuable living assets. So we need to know what services are essential and why.
And the information we reviewed, it outlines a really comprehensive set of solutions for managing those exact assets.
Right.
This goes way beyond simple yard work. It's more like strategic asset management.
Okay, let's unpack that toolkit then. The services listed are pretty standard for any arborist, tree removal, trimming, stump grinding.
Emergency response, yeah.
But let's look at them through the lens of liability. In a dense historic city like Hartford, which of these services actually reduces the most liability for a property owner?
I would argue it's the combination of two things: hazardous tree removal and specifically stump grinding.
Okay.
The documents really hammer home the risks. Overgrown trees, diseased trees. In a city where homes were built a century ago, sometimes really close together, a single diseased oak limb can cause catastrophic damage.
And it's not just the immediate fall, is it? It's the slow decay that comes before it.
Precisely. The hidden risk.
Yeah.
A tree with a compromised trunk near a house or a garage it's a ticking time bomb. High winds, a heavy New England snow load. That beautiful asset can turn into a destructive force in an instant. So reliable removal isn't just a maintenance decision, it's an insurance decision.
Speaking of hidden risks, let's drill down on stump grinding. I think a lot of people feel like the job's done once the trunk is cut low.
They do.
So why is that extra step, which often costs more, so important for preventing future headaches?
The material is crystal clear here, and this is a great practical nugget from you. Grinding the stump deep into the ground does three critical things.
Okay.
First, it removes the immediate tripping hazard. That's a huge liability reduction right there.
Sure.
Second, it prevents that annoying, persistent regrowth. Those little sprouts that keep trying to come back from the old root system?
Right, I've seen those. And what's the third point, the one you mentioned that's so critical in a city?
Pest control. That decaying wood, that stump, it's a perfect moist breeding ground, especially for pests like termites and carpenter ants.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a house nearby, removing that food source is just fundamental home maintenance. It protects your foundation from pests that love dead wood.
That makes perfect sense. We're already moving from the what to the strategic why.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift now. What kind of technical advice can we pull from the guide that you can use for your own healthy trees?
A key question that comes up in the FAQ section is about timing. Specifically, what's the ideal time for tree pruning given Hartford's, intense seasons?
And the recommendation leans heavily toward late fall and winter when the trees are dormant.
That's right.
But I wonder, for the average homeowner, isn't that a little counterintuitive? It feels like you'd just be exposing the plant to the cold, risking damage.
That's a great point. But the reason for dormancy pruning is actually protective. See, when the tree is dormant, it's pulled its resources, like sap, down into the roots.
Oh, okay.
So pruning then minimizes the stress on the plant. It's not actively growing, so it won't lose vital energy or sap. That sap can actually attract pests in the growing season.
And I imagine with the weeds gone, the arborists can see the structure better.
Exactly. They can see the whole structure of the branches, identify weak spots. It makes for much more effective pruning for both shape and health.
That structural insight is vital. But beyond routine pruning, we have to talk about the really high-stakes stuff.
Yeah.
The removals that are close to buildings, to infrastructure.
And that's where the certifications and the modern equipment really matter. The notes stress that experienced arborists follow extremely strict safety protocols.
I mean, just picture it. A 60-foot oak leaning over a century-old Victorian house.
With live power lines running right under the canopy. Yeah.
That's not simple work.
Well,
that requires precision rigging, maybe even a crane, right?
absolutely. It's a calculated high-risk engineering challenge that's just disguised as yard work. They have to dismantle the tree section by section, managing the weight perfectly at every single drop point.
It's the difference between a controlled demolition and a total disaster.
It is. And tying into that high-stakes environment is the 24/7 emergency tree removal service. When a disaster hits, whether it's a storm or just sudden failure, speed is everything.
And what do they say about speed?
The stated goal is to respond quickly. They strive to be there within hours. In an emergency, say a tree falls on your roof, that rapid response is vital. Not just for the structure, but for coordinating with utilities to make sure downed power lines are safe.
That can save lives.
It absolutely can.
So all this brings us to reliability, doesn't it? It's not just having a chainsaw on a truck. It's about credentials, local expertise.
Exactly. The documents emphasize that the core requirement is hiring certified arborists. And that isn't just some marketing term.
Right.
To be certified in Connecticut means you understand the specific ecological pressures of New England.
Right.
You have to know how to manage region-specific diseases, like the emerald ash borer or Dutch elm disease, which have completely changed the urban canopy over the years.
I imagine the soil type plays a role, too. Hartford's in a region with a lot of clay.
It does, and that's a perfect example of why local knowledge is essential. Clay soil doesn't drain well,
So you get waterlogged conditions.
which stresses the roots and makes old trees more likely to fail. A certified arborist knows how to manage drainage, how to spot root rot specific to those conditions, and understands how different species hold up in that exact environment. That expertise is just invaluable.
And beyond the technical skills, the notes highlight crucial things like logistical transparency, detailed estimates before work starts, competitive pricing, modern equipment.
It's both residential and commercial projects, yeah.
That kind of clarity builds trust, especially when you're dealing with expensive, high-risk work.
And that professionalism is backed up by their service area. We're not just talking about downtown Hartford.
It was a wide net.
A very wide net. It covers surrounding cities that rely on Hartford's infrastructure. Places like Manchester, West Hartford, East Hartford, Newington, Bristol, New Britain, Middletown, Wethersfield, Glastonbury, Southington. The list goes on.
That coverage shows they're set up for quick response across all the major commuter areas.
It does. And for people right in Hartford, they know the map inside and out. They service downtown, historic Asylum Hill, Frog Hollow, Nook Farm, and the South End.
If you're in that area, the number to connect with them is 860-809-5888. They're open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and weekends, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
But numbers and service areas only tell you so much. The client feedback, that's what really confirms the quality.
It really brings it to life. We've got feedback here from a Christine L., who praised the outstanding professionalism and efficiency, not just in the removal, but in improving the long-term health and beauty of her property.
And then there's Maxine D., who highlighted the follow-through. She complimented their promptness and the professional aftercare guidance they gave her. That shows a long-term focus, not just a one-and-done job.
Definitely. Then there's Marvin P. He had 3 large decaying trees removed. And he specifically noted the team's punctuality, their courtesy, and this is important, how impeccably clean they left the area afterwards.
When you think about the debris from 3 large trees, leaving a site immaculate, that speaks volumes.
It really does. But this level of service only exists because of the unique environment it's designed to maintain. So let's zoom out now and look at the city itself, Hartford.
Yes. We need to understand the historical context that makes tree health so vital there.
Hartford is such a fascinating juxtaposition. It's one of the oldest cities in the U.S., founded in 1635, I think.
That's right.
And yet it's known worldwide as the insurance capital of the world. That blend of deep colonial history and immense corporate wealth really defines its landscape.
And that corporate history is key to the city's green identity. When the massive insurance companies rose up in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, they demanded a grand, dignified look for the city.
So they invested in landscaping.
Heavily in beautiful corporate campuses and in sprawling, picturesque parks like Bushnell Park.
And those parks and old neighborhoods have huge numbers of heritage trees, right? Some are 100, maybe 200 years old.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the Mark Twain House. It sits in a neighborhood that needed large, stately trees to complete that high Victorian architectural style. Maintaining that aging canopy is a constant challenge.
It's a cultural thing, too. The Wadsworth Atheneum, the oldest public art museum in the country, it needs a certain environment to match its stature.
It does. Hartford isn't just a place to live. It's a repository of American history and culture. And its geography reinforces that, sitting right on the Connecticut River with all those scenic backdrops for kayaking and biking.
So an arborist's job in Hartford isn't just cutting wood, it's a balancing act.
A constant balancing act. They're navigating between preserving the history in those century-old trees and accommodating modern urban life utility lines, infrastructure, safety.
It's the tension between preservation and public safety.
Exactly. When a major storm hits, an arborist in Hartford is dealing with massive, brittle limbs from heritage species, not just some quick-growing saplings. It elevates the work from routine maintenance to really vital structural preservation.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? We've gone from dormant pruning all the way to the history of the insurance capital.
Well, the key takeaway is twofold, and it relates directly to that tension we just discussed.
Okay.
First, if you own property in an established historical area, professional tree management is non-negotiable. For safety, for property health, for liability, you just can't skimp on it.
And the second point.
That work absolutely requires certified expertise and a deep, localized understanding of Hartford's specific climate, soil, and heritage tree species.
That a hyper-local expertise is what makes this so rich.
Yeah.
But before we finish, the source material always offers a final provocative thought, something for you to explore on your own.
And this one is fascinating. We spent this whole time emphasizing the vital, natural, historical, urban forestry of Hartford, Connecticut. You know, the lush, moist environment of coastal New England.
Right.
Yet the very same sources explicitly name a key collaborator that specializes in artificial turf installation.
Get out.
Where? In Henderson, Nevada.
That is the ultimate contrast. We're talking about the intensive living care of deep-rooted historic trees in one of the oldest U.S. cities. And it's professionally linked to the world of synthetic grass and arid landscaping thousands of miles away in the Nevada desert.
It raises a really interesting question, doesn't it, about the future of landscaping across extreme climates. What kind of business model connects conserving historic natural growth in a water-rich place like Hartford with deploying synthetic drought-resistant turf in a dry climate like Nevada?
What can Hartford learn from the innovations driven by scarcity? And what can Nevada learn from Hartford's history of preservation?
That is a great question to mull over as you continue your own exploration.
Until next time, keep digging.